December 6, 1972. Eugene Cernan, veteran astronaut and commander of Apollo 17. He would be the last Apollo astronaut to stand on the surface of the moon. Dr. Harrison Schmidt, better known as Jack. He would be the first geologist to set foot on an alien world. Ronald Evans, command module pilot. He would remain in lunar orbit, operating a battery of experiments that would take this last close look at the moon. In the year 1675, Sir Isaac Newton was asked by his fellow scientist, Robert Hooke, how he had accomplished so much. "If I have seen further," Newton wrote, "it is by standing on the shoulders of giants."
First stage propellant tanks have been pressurized. The engines will build up to a thrust of 7.6 million pounds. T-minus 30 seconds. We have a cutoff. We have a cutoff at T-minus 30 seconds. This cutoff was automatic, done by the sequencer.
One command, pressurized S4B stage, was not given. And despite the fact that it was going to be done manually, the sequencer in effect said, I didn't tell you to do it, and therefore you can't be doing it. So at 30 seconds, it very properly stopped the operation. Most of the work was being done right off the firing room in the Launch Control Center at Kennedy. However, there was a great deal of support from the Marshall Space Flight Center, who had a comparable operational group working there with their contractors. So we concluded that we were safe, and we gave the word to jump route to one signal and proceed, which we did.
Houston, you are go for orbit. Go for orbit.
Those are kind words, Robert. We're go for orbit here.
After checking out the spacecraft in Earth orbit, they burned out of orbit and headed toward the moon.
Houston, we're right in the middle of a snowstorm.
Ron Evans, at the controls of the Command Module America, moved in to dock with the Lunar Module Challenger. They pulled Challenger free of the booster's third stage, then continued the 3-day coast to the moon.
GNS, ATM, ECHO.
Even as Cernan, Evans, and Schmidt headed toward the moon, directly below the Apollo 17 control room, Flight Director Don Putty ran his crew through a launch simulation for the first Skylab.
As you're probably well aware, we are still working on other programs, Skylab being the prime effort starting in the spring of next year. We're also working on the cooperative mission with the Russians, which will take place in 1975. And of course, we've got quite a few of the flight control team as well as other center elements involved in the work on the shuttle. So it's the start of a new era, I hope.
Skylab, of course, will fly in the spring of next year with 3 men going up and spending 28 days, and then 2 months later after they land, we'll put 3 men up for 56 days. They'll come down, and 30 days later, another 3 will go 56 days. So a year of 73, calendar year, will certainly be a busy one from the standpoint of manned spaceflight.
December 10th, 1972. America and Challenger went into orbit around the moon.
Houston, this is America. You can breathe easier. America has arrived on station for the Challenger head.
The next day, December 11th, Cernan and Schmidt entered the lunar module and undocked.
You look just as pretty in Earth light as you do in sunlight. Roger, America. Have a good burn. You're loud and clear.
With the command module in the distance, they passed over their landing place, a valley in an area of the moon called Taurus Littrow. Here they hoped to find the youngest material yet sampled and direct evidence of lunar volcanoes.
You're looking real good, Gene. Right down the line.
Oh, man, we're level with the top of the massif now. Okay, stand by for pitch over. Oh, are we coming in? There it is. Proceeded. And there it is, Houston. There's Camelot. Wide on target. I see it. We got them all. 42 degrees, 37 degrees, through 5,500. 53 degrees. Okay, I've got Jorge, I've got Poppy, I've got the triangle. That's 2,500 feet, 52 degrees. H-dot is good at 2,000. H-dot is good. Fuel is good. Going down at 10, cut the H-dot. Your fuel's good. 110 feet, stand by for some dust. Little forward, G. Little forward a little. 90 feet. Little forward velocity. 80 feet. Going down at 3. Getting a little dust. Going down about 2. Very little dust. Very little dust. Stand by for touchdown. Stand by. 25 feet. Down at 2. Feels good. 20 feet. Going down at 2. 10 feet. 10 feet. Contact. Stop, push. Engine stop. Okay, Houston, the Challenger has landed.
Roger, Challenger, that's super.
Houston, you can tell America that Challenger is at Taurus Littrow.
December 11th. Cernan, then Schmidt, left the lunar module to begin their first EVA.
As I step off at the surface at Taurus Littrow, we'd like to dedicate the first step of Apollo 17 to all those who made it possible.
Their first job was to unload equipment, including their rover, the electric car in which they would drive to the exploration sites.
That's beautiful. This has got to be one of the most proud moments of my life, I guarantee you. We thank you very much.
As Cernan drove the equipment-laden rover, Schmidt carried the scientific experiments package called ALSEP.
Hey, do you need me, Gene? Nope. I'm going to go deploy an ALSEP. Have at it.
In Houston, scientists in the science support room watched, correlating and directing their movements.
Okay, Bob, I've got my tools of the trade right here.
As Schmidt set up the various experiments, Cernan drilled a series of holes, both to collect core samples and to implant experimental probes.
We're out in the ejector blanket of Camelot for sure now.
Yeah.
Man, it didn't feel like this stuff was that hard. No, I'll get it. I knew there was something I needed to do. Get the jack in over here, other side. Let me put some weight here.
Not going anywhere.
Oh, he's going slowly, Bill. Very slowly.
I'm gonna get this thing out now that I got it. boys. You know, that's what you call getting down into your work.
Yeah, it's 29.5 minutes from now, but remember, they left this side a little bit late.
There it is. Okay.
Jim, you better make it clear to Parker that we got to pull out.
On the moon and on the Earth, they were fighting time now. There are just so many hours of oxygen and water in the backpacks. So many hours of life in the vacuum of the moon.
We're up in this area.
There you go. Watch that cable. Cable. Oh. Cable.
Watch the cable. Cable number 1. You know, they're all fixed, Lee. They'll break the whole world before they'll break the cable this time.
With the ALSEP functioning, they left the site for a shortened sampling traverse.
Well, many parts of the ALSEP are functioning very well. The heat flow experiment is working excellently. It's transmitting back temperature data. The cooling down is still cooling down from the drilling process, and in a few hours they should be starting to get true heat flow information.
Let's see if I can't crack the corner and get that contact. See if I can't get her.
Look at the boulders out there. Jesus.
It was time to head back to the Challenger, activate experiments, and get back inside.
Man. I was strolling on the moon one day in the merry, merry month of December. No, May's the month. May, that's right. May is the year of the month.
As the astronauts rested, engineers in 2 nations were working out technical problems of the Apollo-Soyuz test program, the first joint Russian and American space mission.
Well, the prime purpose of the Apollo-Soyuz joint mission is to prove out a compatible docking system and demonstrate that we have compatible operational procedures that will let 2 different countries dock in space. I think more than that, it has certainly a symbolic meaning of these 2 large powers learning to work together in space, which I believe are the new seas of mankind, the new frontiers, and work out solutions to problems wherein, although we're very competitive, we can still be cooperative and assist each other. And I think that this Apollo-Soyuz program stands for just that.
Oh, what a nice day. Oh, funny, there's not a cloud in the sky, except in the Earth. Think that'll stop the dust that way?
They would have one task before they got to work exploring. The previous day, they had broken a rear fender of the rover. The dust thrown up was causing trouble. Apollo 16 commander John Young had worked that night in a pressure suit on a way to fix the fender.
Oh, okay.
On the moon, the astronauts put it together. The fender section formed from a lunar map, molded with tape, then held in place with clamps from the Lunar Module Telescope. It was a repair that would last the remainder of the mission. Then Schmidt moved out to place one of several explosive packages which would be detonated after they left the moon, mapping the lunar subsurface, much as earthly geologists explore for oil. Cernan would pick him up in the rover for the drive to the first site on this traverse, Station 2.